This week's episode is sponsored by Change. Change is the #1 mentoring program that teaches you e-commerce from scratch. Change has a real community with real results. I have been working with Ryan for many years now and have attended many of his events and retreats across the world and got to meet members and the amazing community of like-minded people. Ryan works with a lot of big names in the business world, helping them build online businesses and e-commerce. Change offers personal one-on-one support, no experience needed, but like anything, this takes time and is not a get-rich-quick scheme. If you put the work in, you will get the results. E-commerce and online shopping is getting bigger and bigger. This is a great opportunity for anyone that is looking for financial freedom. For more information, go follow Ryan on Instagram at RyanJB, and he will guide you through the steps to help you get started and build a successful online business. You can now follow me on all my social media platforms to find out who my latest guest will be. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you're notified for when my next podcast goes live. And boom, we're on. And today's guest, we've got Nico Claux. Nick, how are we?
I'm good.
Very fascinating story.
Thank you.
Very dark as well. From cannibal, eating body parts, drinking blood, murder, being in prison, speaking to the world's biggest serial killers.
Yes.
You've wrote many books.
Yeah.
You have some books with you just now. What are these?
Yes, you have the Cannibal cookbook. I'm really famous for that. I wrote this about 15 years ago because people were asking me for recipes and how does it taste like? This is the main question that people ask when they ask me this. About my life, how does it taste like? So the book answers that.
So the Cannibal Cookbook. What other books do you have here?
I publish, this is one of my specialties. I publish books written by serial killers or psychopaths, famous psychopaths. This is a book by the Japanese cannibal, Issei Sagawa, who killed a Dutch student in Paris. And he did a manga. So he was released after a few years of prison. He was declared insane. So the French government sent him back to Japan. And in Japan, he became a writer, an artist, even a comedian. He appeared in several movies. This is one of his most famous books, the manga Sagawa. So it's basically a manga written by a cannibal telling his story. So that's very unique. We had an agreement with him, and when he died, he wanted me to publish his books because I used to correspond with him for about 10 years. And this is what I'm doing now. I'm publishing his back catalog, if you will.
What about the other books?
This is my biography, The Gospel of Blood. So this is my story up until prison. I'm actually writing another book after prison, which I find more interesting than what happened before prison, because people always tell me I'm known for what I did before prison, but I think that my life became more interesting after prison.
Next one.
And the next one, this is another side of my publishing work, occult books. This is quite controversial. It's a French re-edition of The Mysteries of Freemasonry Revealed, because I've write a lot about the dark side of Freemasonry, which gets me banned sometimes from a major platform like Amazon. So, but this is something that really interests me. And I keep on going. And I am actually translating this in English for the first time. It has never been translated in English. It's a classic book of conspiracy literature, if you will, by Leo Taxil. So this is my next work.
Before we get into all the madness though, brother, I always like to go back to the start with my guests.
Yeah.
Get more a bit of understanding about you, where you grew up and how it all began.
I was born in Cameroon in Africa. My father was an IT. He worked for a major bank, and he was sent over there. And I was conceived in France, but born in Africa. So my parents, after a while, they went back to Europe. First London, then Geneva, then Paris. So I had a very chaotic childhood from one place to another. And when I was about 5 years old, I went back to Paris, and I developed a taste for the macabre.
What's that?
I liked horror stories, graveyards. My father was fascinated by ethnology, and he had a lot of books on rituals, voodoo rituals, stuff like that. So there was photos of scarifications in those books, photos of possession, very, very graphic. Those were my first memories in the early 70s. I remember asking a lot of questions to my father about those things, and it's the only moment when we had a link, a bond together, because most of the time we didn't talk much, and he was away a lot for work. But each time that he would go back from for example, say Thailand or a place like that, he would bring back photos of stuff that he had seen over there. For example, in Thailand, he took photos of the Thai hell gardens. So that's a Buddhist thing that they have, where they show the Buddhist hell with statues being tortured. So that's something that fascinated me from an early age.
So do you think because of your father, that's why you become who you become? Because seeing those images and being exposed to them from a very young age?
That's nature versus nurture. I mean, I do believe that even with another background, with another cultural environment, I would have been drawn to those things.
What were you like at school?
I was withdrawn, didn't make any friends, was moving all the time. So from an early start, I was lonely, and I developed defense mechanisms by me being lonely all the time, and a spiritual inner world, if you will, and maybe a sense of being an outcast from a very early age, being different, and the feeling of being like an alien, not where I belonged, if you will. And the feeling of loneliness really developed over the years. I don't remember friends, even faces of schoolmates, which is really telling. Not even a name. I don't remember one name of a schoolmate that I had. So that tells you a lot about the isolation, the feeling of isolation that I was experiencing.
So what did you do after school?
After school, I developed, fantasies of going to graveyards and bad stuff, evil things. When I was about 10, after the death of my grandfather. So you have to understand the context. We were playing badminton, and he fell down and he had a stroke. And there was a funeral. And on the way to the funeral, I heard my mother tell my grandmother, he killed him. So psychiatrists said that from then on, I felt some kind of guilt, but at the same time, I was feeling empowerment over this. I had the power to actually end a life. And I didn't feel any grief over this. When I was in the funeral home and I saw him inside his coffin, there was this feeling of having like a presence next to me, and that presence was death. Yeah. And I felt like from then on, I would follow the shadow of death all the time. That was my calling, if you will. Yeah.
What is the shadow of death to you?
You know, in France, we have traditions about a Grim Reaper in Brittany. This is where my grandfather's family was from. And this Grim Reaper is called l'Ankou, the Yankou. So it's this classic image of the Grim Reaper with the sight. But as I grew older, this image became more abstract and more spiritual too, like a god, the god of death. And this is the only deity that I really believe in, because this is the only thing that's really real for me. I've always worked around death. I've given death. I've been around death all the time. I write about serial killers. I work for a serial killer exhibition. So it never left me.
Did that make you not feel alone, even though you're surrounded by death?
Yeah. But I don't feel loneliness. That's the thing. So most people suffer from moral loneliness, being different. And I never suffered from that. Never. It's I don't know. When I was a kid, I felt that the entire world was my enemy. Yeah. Now that I'm a bit older, I just understand that I have a place in this world. This place is different. Some people would say that my place is in prison or in a psychiatric institute. And that's their opinion. I get that all the time. I don't mind.
What was your first job?
My first job was as a morgue worker. So I worked in a morgue in Paris, in the 14th arrondissement of Paris. You have to understand that in France at the time, there was no formal education to become a morgue worker. You were a hospital orderly, and they would say, "Are you interested in that job?" And you would get it. And you would learn everything there in the morgue. So I learned how to do autopsies. I learned how to dress up a body, which is difficult when you're not used to that. And all the things about the death work, paperwork, everything.
Was that the reason why you wanted to be in the morgue, is because of the dead bodies?
Yeah. I was thinking about being an embalmer first. Embalming was that's something that I had read about. And being next to bodies, preparing the bodies, I thought that would be interesting for me. Plus, there would be no contact with the families when you're an embalmer. But then I realized that maybe the easiest thing for me was to actually work in a morgue, which is a separate job. But there was another thing in the way. It was coworkers, which I didn't think about when I applied first. So I had to deal with coworkers, and for somebody like me that is profoundly misanthropic, if you will, that was difficult. And I devised plans to get rid of my coworkers. So I was already, taking a very dangerous path back then.
What sort of plans?
Murders.
To kill your co-workers?
Yeah. So I could just be alone in the morgue. I know this sounds totally irrational. Back then, I was 21. Let's say that there was a lot of chaos in my mind, a lot of many different thoughts, what you call obsessive thoughts. This is thoughts that you get first thing in the morning, you wake up, you think about one thing all day long. You have lunch, you think about that thing, you go to bed, you think about that thing. For me, it was about killing people. That's a major thing, a major trait of all the serial killers I have met in my life, in prison, and corresponding with them. It's this obsessiveness, compulsion, if you will, and thoughts that you just cannot get rid of. They're there, and they get back at you all the time. Yeah.
What sort of thoughts about the killings? Was there specific ways you would kill people?
When I was, it started when I was 12. So at first it was knife stabbings. So I was bringing knives at school, and I was thinking about following, other schoolmates in an isolated place and stab them. Of course, it was schoolmates that I didn't like. There was some kind of reason to do it, if you will. But objectively, when you look at it, it was just there was no reason for it. It was just the experience. I wanted the experience. And it was pure psychopathy. The thing is, when you have an antisocial personality disorder, it comes in waves. You start with a few random thoughts, they take ground and they build up, and it becomes this huge thing that's like 100% of your thought process. And for me, it started really young. So the murder fantasies with the knife, after I had a short term in the army where I was handling guns. So it was about shooting people. And then I went to university after that. So I had this idea of going on top of a tower with a rifle and shooting at students. And then I ended up in this morgue job, and it was about killing my coworkers.
Did anyone else know about this?
No. There always had to be a reason, a trigger. People that I didn't like. It wasn't about just random people. Then it became more complicated because the urges were getting more and more real. I would actively look for people. So I was, back then, there was this thing that we used. It was the end of the 80s, the early 90s. And in France, we had a device called Minitel, which was like a computer device that was linked to some kind of network. So you would send type messages on this network, small ads. Most of them were sex ads. And you would meet somebody. They would give you a phone number. You would call them. You would arrange to meet them up. And my girlfriend at the time, she was into domination. I was 22, she was 18. And she was pretending that she was 16 so she could get more clients and get more money out of it. So she was using this device, this Minitel, to do this, which I watched her do, and sometimes I would go with her to her appointments. I would wait downstairs just in case something happened, with the gun on me. And then I saw how easy it was to get anonymous encounters through that, Minitel thing. So I used this device to contact someone. Same thing. I pretended that I was 16, that I was looking for an S&M meeting, and place an ad, and then just get the guy's number and go to his place. And the goal was to kill him. So the goal was not just murder for the sake of murder. It was actually to get the meat, because I had been already eating small strips of meat in the morgue, and I had developed this craving back then. And I wanted to kill, to harvest the meat, get the meat home. That was the plan. So I had gloves, I had a scalpel, I had everything in my backpack when I went to this guy's place. I shot him as soon as he opened the door. And it took longer than I thought, because I was using a 22 caliber handgun. So I had to reload, because it was a single shot handgun. Reload, shoot, reload, shoot, reload, shoot. It took 15 minutes in total. In the meantime, I ransacked the place. I was looking for, child porn or something that I could use against this person for the investigation, in case they would, think it was a revenge kind of situation. That was the idea behind targeting this type of people. It was not about morals. Maybe it was, I don't know. But it was the easiest way to get what I wanted, which was human meat. But then I heard footsteps on the other side of the door, and I thought that it was a person calling the police or something. So I had to run. So I just gathered things up and put them in my backpack and left.
So you were killing him to eat him?
Yeah.
When did you first get the fantasies of eating humans?
So when I was 12, I saw this magazine at my uncle's place. It was a magazine that had been published, but then banned, because it had photos of a victim of a cannibal crime. So it was Issei Sagawa, the guy I contacted years and years after, who committed this cannibal crime. And there was photos of the victim in the morgue. Very graphic photos, black and white photos, with this person lying on a slab with huge chunks of meat missing. So it had a really deep impact on me. I started to have those fantasies about biting, tearing flesh apart with my teeth. Psychopathic fantasies. It was a fetish. It became a fetish. And years later, I was 17. I went to New York with my father. I met this girl in a goth shop, well, black magic shop, called The Magical Child. And she more or less initiated me to blood sex.
What's that?
Blood play. Using blood during, sex. So I developed this kink, this fetish with blood. And when I first started to work in the morgue, I saw how easy it was, when I was left alone for the autopsies, to get strips of flesh from the body and eat them. So at first it was raw. And then I cut little strips, broke them home, cooked them several ways. And I also was working part-time in the surgery unit, in digestive surgery. So one of the things that I had to do was go to the blood bank, get blood bags for the transfusions. And they had a system with labels. So sometimes I would get the label off, pretend that the bag had been used, and that would temper their traceability. So I was able to steal a few blood bags, about 2 or 3 a week, So this is something that I did for the course of maybe, I don't know, 5-6 months while still working in the morgue. So I was working part-time in the morgue and part-time in the surgery unit.
What was it like eating humans for the first time?
People always ask me about the taste, and it wasn't about the taste. So yeah, I can relate. I can say that it more or less tastes like horse meat, because at the time I was eating horse tartar, tartar steak, which is horse, the sweet flavor. But for me, it was more about the rush, the sensation. It was something like I had never experienced before. It was keeping me constantly on a high.
Aroused?
Aroused, yes. Yeah.
Is the horse meat you started eating to try and replace human meat because you couldn't get it?
Yeah. I did that too, but there's nothing that could compensate. There was no palliative for that. So, yeah, the times where I couldn't get the meat, I missed it.
What sort of body parts would you eat?
So it was meat from the abdominal cavity, because this is where we made the incision. So mostly intercostal tissue. So I would cut small strips, big like that, and get them in a plastic bag.
So you couldn't cut like the thigh
Yeah.
or the calf because you would be seen?
No, yeah. It would have been noticed.
Did you ever think about it though, because of where your fantasies took you?
Oh, yeah. I wanted to try the back muscles, because they're the biggest muscles in the human body. And, they're the equivalent of, what we eat in
Cows?
cows, and, they're the equivalent of that. So, yeah, I wanted to try that. And there's no way I could do this with the autopsies that we did in the hospital. I could have done this in the city morgue, where they take care of murders, etc. So I applied for that, actually. Back then, I didn't have a criminal record, so I could have applied for that. So I even sent them a resume. But no, I didn't get an answer. So I had to find the meat in another way.
So how is that chase then, once you start eating human flesh, to then keep wanting to do it? Were you out of control then?
Yeah, I'd say that I was not thinking about consequences at all. I mean, when I shot that guy, the first thing I thought about when I came home was to do it again. That's as simple as that. It's a compulsion. It's you try to find ways. You think that what you've done, it could have been better. There's always this feeling that there's something missing. That's why it escalates. And this is why most psychopathic murderers eventually become repeat offenders, because they have to get the perfect crime, if you will. So, yeah, I was actively looking for somebody else.
What about drinking the blood? When did that fantasy start? Was that always the same as eating human flesh?
Yeah. About the same time. First, it was my own blood. Then this girl I met in New York. Then several partners I had after that. And it was using, the things you use for insulin needles. Not cutting. I never really got into big cuts, because they heal worse. So it was always clean, if you can say that. But this is something. Not only is it a rush, but I mean, it affects your sex drive too. That's the thing. It affects so many things, and the energy that you get from it. It's power, pure power.
From drinking your own blood?
People's blood.
How do you drink your own blood? How much do you need to drink?
At the time, not much. Not much. That's the thing, is the energy. You don't need much. Anyways, your body cannot process too much blood. There's a guy in, I think it's in Alistair Crowley's Abbey, the Abbey of Thelema, who died from drinking too much blood from a cat that they have sacrificed, because the body doesn't process it. It's poisonous. So just a few drops is enough. Like an insulin needle, it's not much blood. But it's enough to get you the rush.
So were you into Satanism then? Were you reading Aleister Crowley? Were you reading Anton LaVey?
Yeah, well, okay. So the Satanism, there's different brands of Satanism. LaVey, I wouldn't call Crowley a Satanist, of course, but no, cultist. There's several brands. The one I was following was what you call traditional Satanism or theistic Satanism. It's the belief of God and Satan as two entities. Because if, for example, in the Satanic Bible by LaVey, Satan is a concept. It's more like an archetype. Okay, that's what they call. That's why they call it atheistic Satanism. I'm talking about theistic Satanism, the real belief in entities. I do believe in entities. I do believe in demons, and I do believe in ways to approach demons and control them, get possessed. I believe in possession. Some people who dabble in the occult can be possessed by demons. I had a friend on death row that I used to correspond with, Danny Rawling, the Gainesville Ripper. He believed that he was possessed by a demon called Gemini, the Gemini, and he killed 5 students in Gainesville in Florida because he thought that he was possessed by that spirit. So that's a classic example of someone who is possessed by an entity. And I do believe in that.
Yeah, I believe people can be possessed.
Yeah.
You know? So the drinking the blood, the eating the flesh, getting your kicks, but to then go and kill someone to try and eat him as well. Like, what happened after you killed that man?
So as I told you earlier, I was looking for another one. And also, I had still the plan of killing my coworkers. So I had been fired from the morgue in between, but I had made a spare key to the morgue. So the plan was to go back to the morgue, wait until they would come in the morning and kill them one after the other. Okay.
Why did you get fired?
I got fired because they asked me if I wanted to work full time in the surgery unit. I wasn't interested in working full time in the surgery unit. I hated it. The only good thing about it was getting the blood and the blood bags, but I couldn't handle the co-workers, the nurses, the people I had to wheel down to the surgery unit. I just couldn't do it. I think that the guy in charge of the morgue didn't want me around anymore because maybe I was too weird, maybe because he felt that I was a bit different. So that probably was that too.
So you went back to the morgue to kill everyone. What happened?
I was caught before because I had left evidence behind me. So I was caught 1 month after the murder and sent to prison. Yeah.
How long did you get? You didn't get long though. How so?
Yeah. So the thing is, back then they had a law for what they call diminished responsibility. So for 2 years I was assessed by several psychiatrists to determine if I was legally sane or not. The thing was, the investigating judge, Gilbert Hill, in charge of the case, wasn't really keen on me being found legally insane, because he thought that I would get out after 2 or 3 years of psychiatric ward, like Isagawa, basically.
Who's that?
That's the cannibal, the Japanese cannibal who killed a Dutch student in Paris. He was sent back to Japan after 3 years because he was found legally insane. So there was this thing that had happened a few years before.
Was that a tactic from you? Or did you know that, did you not think that you were losing your mind?
I was...
Or were you so tactical that you could have played that card?
Half.
Mm.
Half. I was, after the army and before going to before working in the morgue, I studied psychology. So I read a few books about schizophrenia, the symptoms, etc. And I knew that if I told them certain things, they would find reason to say that I was not totally responsible for what I had done. So, for example, I told them that when I was working in the morgue, the dead were talking to me. They were telling me things, and they were telling me to kill people, etc. So, of course, it never happened. I never heard voices or anything. I knew damn well that if I told them the truth, which is I have cannibal fantasies, I have blood fantasies, blood fetishes. The reason why I wanted to kill that person was to harvest the meat. Yes, that would mean for them that maybe I would maybe it was a proof that I was insane, but you have to remember that at the same time that I was on trial, there was the Jeffrey Dahmer trial. I was following that case really close, because if Jeffrey Dahmer was found legally sane for all what he had done, then they would find me legally sane, even if I told them that, I had killed that person to harvest the meat. That was my reasoning. So I told them about voices. I told them about, losing grip with reality, which wasn't the case. The reality of what I was going through was a mix, maybe, between losing grip on reality, and being a sociopath.
Yeah, so these were kind of tactics and plans to try and get a lesser sentence.
Yeah.
Were you watching Jeffrey Dahmer? Was there people you used to kind of look up to or be mesmerized by the things that they'd done?
Not really, because most of them, they weren't like me.
In what sense?
In the sense that they were social. They were social people. Jeffrey Dahmer was a social person. Even if he was a loner, he would hang out in bars all the time, even if it was to get victims. But he was a social person. Bundy was a social person. I was completely asocial. A loner, a real loner. And even those guys, I couldn't connect with them in a way, because I felt different from them. When I was in high security prison later, and that I met serial killers, this was confirmed, because the guys I met were totally normal. They had normal lives. They killed on the side. They had not a split personality, because this is bullshit made by the media. It doesn't exist. Split personality doesn't exist. They compartmentalized, which means they had drawers in their mind where they put the murder thing. That's where they kept their little secret lives, etc. Like BTK in the US. So they could live with a normal family life, etc., and working for the community, even like John Wayne Gacy, and have those very normal lives on the side, and have this murder thing. But apart from that, there were normal people, and the people I have met were just, yeah, I don't know, just plain normal.
What happened at court then?
I was condemned to 12 years of prison with the diminished responsibility thing, and I was sent to Maison Centrale de Poissy, which is a prison near Paris, where they put like serial offenders and terrorists, etc.
Did they know that you were wanting to eat people?
They knew part of a thing. They knew about what happened in the morgue. They found the blood bags at my place. They during the police search, they found bones. They found all those things, and they double checked the graveyards, and they saw that I had robbed graves starting when I was 18. So they knew all those things. But
Why were you robbing the graves?
I wanted skulls. Yeah. Nowadays, you can go online and buy skulls. It's easy. But for an 18-year-old kid in the 80s, no, it wasn't that easy. So I wanted to get them. So I spent, instead of going to school, I went to graveyards. And I spent an entire afternoons in graveyards. And in France, there's a lot of mausoleums with locks, etc. So I got into lock picking, basically, so I could have access to the vaults, access to the crypts. And the first times when I went to the crypts, I just went there, took a few books, lit a few candles, and stayed there for 1 or 2 hours. I just, got the energy. I love the energy. And I had even had this fantasy of moving into a crypt, like sleeping in the crypt at night, like a vampire, if you will. But I really wanted to have the skulls. I really wanted to have like a pile of skulls at home. I don't know why. It was like a trophy thing, maybe. And I just loved the skulls themselves. So I started to open the vaults with the crowbar, then the coffins. So it was really old coffins. They were easy to pry open. And I would bring the skulls home, sometimes also the leg bones and things like that. Yeah.
Were you doing any magic with them?
Yeah. Sometimes I would pour blood over them, feed them with blood, either blood from the morgue when I was working, not the morgue, the blood bank when I was working in the hospital, and my own blood, etc. I was doing ritual. I had some kind of altar with the skulls. I even made chimes with the bones because I like the sound of bones. There's a special sound that they make when you clean them. So pretty crazy, huh?
So you wouldn't dig the graves? You wouldn't dig, it's the ones that are in the wall,
Yeah,
the
the
graves.
walls.
So you're not digging
No, I
10,
did it
6
once.
feet, 10 feet to...
No, I did it once.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I did it once in Boulogne-Billancourt, which is a district in Paris. It was really hard work, and it was not a good experience. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're dubbed the Vampire of Paris.
Mm.
So what happens in prison? What was prison like for you? Are you in a special unit? Are you in a special wing because of your thought process?
No. Well, I was alone all the time, alone in a cell. They didn't put other people because they were afraid that I would do something to them. This was an order by the investigating judge. When there's special cases like that, they don't know if I'm gonna eat the person, basically. So they just left me alone in the cell. But I waited 3 years until the trial. So I was in a place that for people who are awaiting trial for for 3 years. I didn't really talk to people when I was there. I was mostly inside all the time. Sometimes I would go to the rec yard, etc. But I just liked solitude. So, but then when they sent me to Poissy, which is the equivalent of a supermax security place where they put like people with risk, high risk. So it was mostly serial offenders and like all the inmates who were there had killed at least one person. So yeah.
What was the fantasies like in prison? Did they stop or did they get worse?
No, they stopped. I did a few. Oh, sometimes I would drink blood. So we had big razors that I would break and use the blades. So sometimes I did that and scar myself, even though I don't really like it. I prefer like needles. But I did that a few times. I even used my blood on letters that I sent to people because I got a lot of mail from people when I was in prison. So sometimes the mail was censored by the authorities. And it's in prison that I started to write to serial killers. So the thing is, it started that way. I was writing to a guy who collected letters from criminals in the US, in Florida. And he sent my address to a guy he was writing with called the Trash Bag Killer, Patrick Kearney. So it's a guy who killed 30 guys in California. And one day I get this letter from this California state prison, and it was this guy who was writing in perfect French. Turns out he was an ex-NASA scientist or something. And he wanted to correspond with someone in French, and we started to correspond. And I was like, okay, if I can correspond with this guy in a state prison, maybe I can try to write Richard Ramirez or other serial killers. And this is what I did, and I ended up writing to about 30 serial killers in total for about 10 years.
What sort of serial killers? Were you exchanging thoughts? Were you exchanging things that you've done?
That's the thing. It was mostly about prison talk. How's the prison like there? Blah, blah, blah. And also we were talking about the people that would write us, which were the same, bunch of collectors, if you want to call that name, who were asking us for artwork, etc. Sometimes they would talk about their case. Sometimes they would share like murder fantasies or stuff like that. Sometimes the mail was censored, sometimes not. So I got some pretty interesting letters. I wrote to Jan Brady even. I got a few letters from him, but I'm not really fond of child killers. So essentially,
what was Ian Brady saying?
It was reminiscing, actually, very long letters, and reminiscing about his life before prison. And for example, he would talk about the son hitting a revolver on the bedside table because he saw himself as some kind of robber. He wanted to rob banks or something. He didn't see himself as a nasty child killer. He had a very high opinion of himself. And I had read the Gates of Janus, his book, which I had found interesting because it's a reflection on serial murders. So I knew that he was in contact with Colin Wilson, which was a criminologist who wrote several books on crimes and the occult also. And I asked Brady if he could get me Sagawa's address, the Japanese cannibal, because I wanted to write him too. And it's actually Brady who got me Sagawa's address in Japan. So that was the main reason why I wrote to Brady. Yeah.
How many serial killers were you in talks with?
About 30.
Yeah, he says 30. And was there any, were you shocked by anything? Or did it all seem normal?
Yeah, there was this guy who was obsessed with describing how he tortured women with dildos. Yeah. I don't know if it was a fantasy or what, but he wrote those really long letters about this fantasy that he had. It turns out he killed like 5 or 6 women in Florida. Yeah, that was a bit bizarre, this guy. There was this girl I used to write with, Natasha Cornet. She shot a family of Jehovah Witnesses in a parking lot. They were giving her out flyers, and she was God at the time, so they thought that she needed God in her life. She pulled out a gun and she shot them. So she was in prison in Tennessee. We used to write, and I remember that we were talking about manual strangulation in the letter. One of the letters got censored, but the funny thing is that, and you can actually see this letter in the Syracuse exhibition because this letter is on display. And in the letter she says, "Thank you for the tips." And like 1 month after, she was charged with trying to strangle another inmate with a shoelace.
What about Charles Manson?
No, I never wrote him. No. I think I tried. I think I sent a letter, but never got a reply.
What about the media attention? Were you all over the media?
Sometimes the French media at first, and then the tabloids. And there was a lot of tabloids who were interested in like interviews, etc. So I did a few interviews from jail. When I got out, it really got insane. I got like plenty of TV proposals and things like that. Then I wanted to keep a low profile because I was looking for a job in the morgue again.
Surely you would have been getting surveillance, because to be eating bodies, drinking blood, killing people, fantasies, speaking to the world's biggest serial killers, there has to be more protection surely for normal people.
When there's a will, there's a way. And I forged ID papers. I forged my criminal files, my criminal court reports. It's a bulletin de... Well, it has a name in French, but this is what the employer asks regarding your criminal records. I faked all those things. Forged, I mean. I forged all those things, and I had all the papers. And after 1 year of looking, I got my first job in the morgue in Paris. So the funny thing, if you want to call it funny, is that I worked for 13 years using those papers in several morgues. There were some people who knew about it, even cops. Nothing was said, etc. Until there was a show, I think it was for a Halloween special or something, on TV, and it was an old interview that I did with Dutch television, I think. Anyways, it was shown again on French TV, and somebody recognized me, even though I had long hair at the time. And, well, so they confessed to the hospital priest. And the hospital priest went straight away to the head nurse, the people in charge with the staff, and they told him, okay, you have this vampire of Paris working in the morgue right now. So yeah, I had to leave immediately.
What were you doing? Were you doing the same stuff that you were doing in the first morgue?
No. I was there for the energy, even if you can... Yeah, I know you will find it weird, but for me, it was a matter of energy. The energy of the place.
Death.
Yeah, I needed that. And when you work in a morgue, there's long periods of time where you don't do nothing except waiting for somebody to die, basically. So I used this time to start writing. All those things that I had done when I was a teenager were long gone. I had found other ways to, appease the demons inside me, if you will. Partners who shared those things, the blood drinking, etc. And I also just didn't want to go back to jail. I mean, that was basic. And it was an experience that I had done in the past. I didn't want to do it again. Plus, an important thing, I wasn't doing autopsies anymore. It wasn't part of the things I was doing in the job. So was no way I was going to butcher those people to get what I wanted, if I wanted it.
What do you class as a serial killer?
As a potential, or as a serial killer in the making. That's what they said. Serial killer in the making.
What do you think a serial killer is? They say, was it after they've got 3 bodies? But there's many forms of serial killers. People can say a sniper.
Yeah.
And the army's a serial killer. They've got many kills. They can say prime ministers, presidents. They send people to kill people. You've got Genghis Khan, who's killed millions and millions of people.
Yeah.
You've got, look, what is a serial killer to you?
It's a form of sociopathy. It's a sociopath. A person who has a fetish, which is murder, because in that case, specific case, in the serial killer game, murder becomes a fetish, a way of being aroused, a way of finding some kind of meaning to your life, which is not the case of a sniper. It's not the case of a professional gangster. The act of killing itself gives meaning to your life. It gives meaning. It gives you a rush. It gives you something that life cannot give you. It's the feeling of being above everything. So the definition for me of, for example, there's this guy, Luca Magnotta, who killed a guy in Canada, and he filmed the entire thing and he put it online. He killed him with a screwdriver, but people thought it was an ice pick, so the video was called One Lunatic, One Ice Pick. It was all over the web some years ago. This guy, he really fits the definition for me. Even if he only killed one person, but he was apprehended before he could kill anybody else. So that perfectly fits the definition for me.
Because I've interviewed Larry Mazza. He was a mafia hitman. Yeah. He's got over 20 kills. He worked with a man called the Grim Reaper, and they say he's got over 200 kills. But even snipers say they start enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because when they come back home, nothing feels good anymore. Even though they're going crazy, they feel more at peace when they're killing people.
Yeah, it could be an addiction. I also knew professional killers in prison. But I think the difference is this feeling also of loneliness and not belonging to anything. I mean, a professional killer is part of a thing, is part of a community, if you will. And in all the serial killers that I talked to and that I had interactions with, this feeling of community, of being part of something, does not exist. It's always shallow. So it's just loneliness. It's just you against the world. I don't think that snipers and professional killers get that. There's always this feeling that they're doing something they're either doing it for mission, or they're doing it for, they feel entitled to do it. They feel like they have a reason to do it. But don't get me wrong, there's serial killers who kill because they think that they are entitled to do it. Especially serial killers who kill sex workers, for example. They think that they are on a divine mission to get the world, to get rid of sex workers. This is the mission. right? And they honestly believe that they're on the side of good. So I don't know. It's really rare to find somebody who knows that what he's doing is against the current, is against humanity, is against the world, but, has no problem with it.
What was your biggest rush? What did you get the biggest rush from?
I don't know. I don't even know if it was the killing itself, because there was this feeling of frustration.
Because you never finished the job.
Yeah,
You killed him, obviously, but you wanted to eat him.
yeah.
When you say eat him, would you have eaten him down to the bone? Every part?
No.
Eyeballs, tongue?
No, just muscles. Wow.
And see, when you're cooking it, what do you cook it in?
What I was cooking was the parts from the abdominal cavities and under the ribs.
Yeah, but how were you cooking it? A frying pan?
Frying
Oil?
pan. I would sometimes use condiments, very basic stuff. It was not French cuisine. I wrote this cannibal cookbook because I thought it would be interesting to find different recipes that were actually used by killers. And sometimes it depends on the culture where they're from. And they have their own recipes. So I thought it was interesting to explore that. But in my case, it was just basic cooking. Yeah.
So no peppercorn sauce, no fries with it?
No, just basic. Yeah. Sometimes people ask me if I would be interested in working in a restaurant. Why not? I mean, but no, I'm not a chef.
What about the voices that you heard? What sort of voices? What were they saying?
They didn't exist. They weren't there. It was me telling that to the psychiatrist. I never heard voices.
Oh, so you were just saying that for
For
lesser time?
lenient sentence, if you will.
So what happens after the morgue the second time? What was your life like then?
I realized, James, when you're in my position, when, everybody calls you a monster all the time and you're always reminded that you're a monster, there's no place for you in society. What are you going to do? Kill again? That would prove them right. That would show them, yeah, I'm the monster. You're right. And I don't want them to have that power on me. I'm still against the world. Not 100% of the world. I have a few allies. I have a few friends. I have a few people who kind of understand my path and where I'm going. But a large majority still consider me as some kind of freak, some kind of, a mistake of nature. And they want me back in prison or dead. And I don't want them to win. For me, it's a battle. It's a perpetual battle. So the thing I thought was, okay, I have this unique experience, perspective on crime. I know how it gets to get there. What's the journey, and I want to describe that in my books. I want, when you write about true crime, usually it's written by journalists, it's written by people who, okay, they investigate the case, etc., but they don't really know what it's like to be there, to feel those things. So this is what I want to bring to the world, give them a window in my mind. So this is why I do the conferences and why I participate to the serial killer exhibition. I talk to people, and people, they're fascinated. They're fascinated by what I have to say because it's different. I'm not saying, hey, I'm born against Christian. And no, I tell them the truth. I tell them that it's a struggle against my demons, that I control them. I have absolutely no desire to go back to prison again. and I have found some kind of peace.
Yeah, you've got to respect the honesty. You know, you're saying here you're drinking blood and eating bodies and
Yeah.
you're wanting to kill.
Mm.
Do you still have the urge to kill? How do you control that? How do you, because you had the urge though to kill, so when did it start kind of dwindling? When did it start thinking you don't have the urge anymore? Like, when did that start stopping?
When I started to think about consequences, not
You've-
only consequences for me, first it was my family. When I saw them take a slide down, a slow slide down with alcohol and depression, they were killing themselves with pills. My mom, for example, she was developing a perpetual state of melancholia. Melancholia is the last stage of depression when you're trying to kill yourself all the time. So she was in that stage. She was hospitalized a few times. Seeing that, seeing all the hurt, seeing all the things with the parents of the family that I saw on TV talk about the case a few times, and seeing all the people who were impacted, I just don't want that again, you know? I just, I get no pleasure from that.
Do you think you have empathy?
I kind of developed empathy, but it's an imitation of empathy. I imitate the feelings that I see. I think I have genuine feelings of empathy for a very small handful of people, very small, but that's things like, things that I don't give a fuck about some things, man. Like things that happen far away, or, people are so involved in things that are just not in their close vicinity. I mean, and I don't get that. I don't understand the feelings of community. I don't understand, why being so involved in things that are outside your circle. I don't get that. Just not for me.
Did you speak to Jeffrey Dahmer?
No, he was killed before I had the chance to. I wanted to do it, but he was bludgeoned to death by another inmate. Yeah.
Did you ever think that could happen to you because of your history?
No, there was more like fear. That's the thing. Plus, the fact that the guy that I killed was actually looking for a minor. Inmates that don't really care, It's not in the code of honor, if you call it that way, They just don't care. But the cannibal thing, yeah. There's a lot of superstitious people in prisons too. So they think that I had the evil eye, that I was, talking to demons and shit like that. So yeah, no.
Were you feared in prison then? Were you respected and feared because of what you done?
Respect? No, I don't. No. Fear, yeah. Respect, it's a big word, respect. You have to earn respect. I didn't do anything special for the other inmates to respect me. Fear, yeah. But yeah, sometimes I got even, interesting conversations with people, with inmates who were on the other opposite path of me, like people who killed for God, for example. And they were asking me all those questions about satanic cults and how to do rituals and stuff like that, because they were interested.
How many rituals did you do?
I don't count them. It was a weekly thing at times.
What sort of rituals?
Prayers, invocations. I've participated in black masses, and because of my position, I'm always. It happens sometimes that I'm contacted by cults or people who are in more or less organized things. I have friends in the Church of Satan. I have friends in the Satanic Temple. I have friends in all those different, branches of Satanism. But the organized thing is not for me. I just, when there's more than 3 people in a room, there's automatically one will you that you cannot trust. So it's not for me. I'm not, I have, one thing I do now is I work with paranormal channels sometimes, and we investigate like satanic cults, etc. And because of what I know about those cults, I give my opinion on the case or the crimes, etc. So this is a thing that I do.
How popular are satanic cults? How popular is Satanism?
It's not really popular anymore. It was a thing of the 2000s, early 90s, between 1990 and the early 2000s. It's not a thing anymore. There's the Satanic Temple in the US, and they have this thing but it's not really a satanic cult. It's more like an atheist thing. There's a few in Russia. Yeah, there's a few active satanic cults, and there's so many different branches in Europe, and it's not like there's a worldwide organization with tens of thousands of followers. I read about satanic crimes all the time, and people doing harvesting adrenochrome or stuff like that. And I know the real things, and I know that it's not that big, okay, but it does exist. Sometimes there's secret societies in a certain level, a very high level. They kind of use satanic cults as scapegoats. So they do their orgies and stuff like that. They wear masks and stuff, pretending that it's a satanic thing, but it's really to divert the attention of the victims and make the survivors think that they were victims of satanic cults. But there's especially one secret society that's really strong, really famous for that. Yeah.
What one?
Can't tell you the name.
What about adrenochrome? Because it has been massive over the last sort of 10 years with all the Kabul and like Pizzagate. And what is adrenochrome for people who don't know?
Oh, it's the harvesting of this thing that's produced by the pineal gland, and that's supposed to give you a rush, or sometimes even make you younger, or basically it comes from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. When you look objectively at the thing, it was mentioned in the movie. Now, what happens is there's harvesting. That's a real thing. There's harvesting of blood. There's harvesting of energy that's done by secret societies. As I say, on a higher level, it's not the small levels. It's not the peasants who are aware of that. It's really the high-ranking ones who. I was approached once. I was in a God club, and there was this guy comes to me, and I knew that he was working for the French government. And he asked me, okay, I heard that you're looking to get your for a change of legal change of name. I was trying to get that at the time because it would have opened a few doors for me. So, this is something I was actively doing. I had done all the papers. Like, how do you know that? I know a few things. Okay. And he says, you'll never get it. I say, why? Because of who you are. Okay. And he says, there's one way to get it. I'm like, okay, what? You can work for us. For you, for who? Right now, I can't tell you. But if you do certain things, we might help you. And then disappeared. And it reminded me of something that an older convict had told me in prison about, those secret societies that are linked with the government, approaching inmates, etc., to do their billings. So this is how they work.
What is the Gut Club?
It's a gut club in Paris. Yeah.
What is that?
It was called La Locomotive at the time, but it changed. Yeah.
Do you think the world is controlled by evil? The people in power? Because they don't seem good people to me.
Yeah. Yeah. There's people who belong to certain circles that are driven by power. They're looking for power. They're looking for use. They're looking to indulge in their kinks. I mean, it's no secret. Sometimes they want to spice things up with an occult element or two, a satanic element. So those people exist, yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's a battle between good and evil. You know, I think
Yeah.
when you go to the higher levels, like you say, there is a lot of secret societies.
Oh, yeah.
But you have got to be in that club. You're talking billionaires, you're talking
Yeah.
presidents, you know, and it's not even them that's on the stage, it's people behind them.
It's behind them. It's circles of influence. It's people that they know somebody who knows someone. And, you know, like snuff movies, it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a thing. There's an elite who has access to that.
But people are turned on by it. I wouldn't say turned on, but you look at Netflix, look at Monster, for instance.
Yeah.
True crime is the biggest hitters. Even interviewing you today, I was looking forward to it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's interesting, because people don't live that life.
Yeah.
But I just know how the shock factor will be to people. Do you know, I'm interviewing gangsters or drug lords, but this is a man who drinks blood and eats flesh.
Yeah.
But again, it's still no difference from the men who's still killing and doing bad stuff, you know. But why do you think it's so popular towards humans? Because Netflix is the biggest hitters of true crime. It's Monsters #1 around the world. Like, people gravitate towards the dark stuff.
It's always been a mystery to me. Because this is my lifestyle. This is who I am. This is who I grew up to be. This is my being. And then I see all those people who I considered as enemies before, and I see them writing me and wanting to take pictures with me when I'm at those conferences, or, you know, want me to sign books and etc. And they're regular people, they're normal people, and I have interesting conversations with them, and they're not judging or anything. And, you know, it's not even people who are in the God community or like wannabe vampires or things like that. It's just regular people, housewives. I don't know. I even had someone working in the Vatican talk to me. And so it's kind of mysterious, but I have a few ideas. I think that people are drawn to that because it's extreme. And we live in a very lame society. Everything has been done before. I mean, even sex, you know, it's really hard to find something interesting anymore. We have seen, as a society, we've seen everything, you know. Maybe the most aberrant and weird behavior, people are fascinated by that because it's becoming increasingly rare. I mean, there's no serial killers anymore. All those Netflix shows, they're about people who've done this 50 years ago. So I'm part of the old school, I guess. I did this in the 90s. I'm one of the last dinosaurs. I don't see anybody else doing those things now. I don't know. There's a few serial killers now and then, but it's less and less, and they won't be serial killers anymore in a few years. That's as simple as that, because of police work, because of so many different things. So maybe we are in a generation that is looking for something different, something intriguing. And what I have noticed is that, you know, before true crime was about, you know, more or less documenting reality, there was a lot of talks about the police aspect of it, the investigation. People were fascinated by that. That's the old school approach to true crime. But nowadays, it's all about the killers. They're like rock stars. So there's, that's something I've been saying for quite a while now. True crime now is a form of entertainment. It's as simple as that. That's why all the big platforms are investing so much in true crime, because people consume serial killer stories like they consume, I don't know, comedies or it's a product. It's a product.
What did you think of Monster?
I find it interesting, and people tend to forget the name of the show, Monster. This is the thread, the silver lining between all those shows. It shows what it's like to be a monster, how you become a monster, and what it means to be a monster. Whether you're a monster because of neglect in your family, or because in Jeffrey Dahmer's case, is because these fantasies of owning a lifeless body that turned into a monster that made him kill, or like Ed Gein, who was obsessed with turning into a woman. So back then he was into this fetish of wearing female body parts. The Hernandez, the brothers, it's about,
Yeah, Menendez brothers.
yeah,
Yeah.
Menendez brothers. It's about greed, basically. What greed makes you do. And when greed turns you into a monster, the next one will be about Lizzie Borden. So it will be focused on female serial killers and crimes committed by women. They're not accurate at all. When you know the cases, there's lots of things that are fictionalized, but I still find them interesting because there's plenty of aspects in them that are you see that it's done by something who loves true crime, and just little details, and the performances are good. So yeah, no, I'm not casting a stone on them, and I understand the popularity of those shows. At the same time, I don't understand it, because you would talk about Jeffrey Dahmer like 30 years ago, people would look at you like if you were a freak. Talking about Ed Gein, wow, people would be just, repulsed. But nowadays, it's trendy.
What about Harold Shipman? Did you ever come across him, the man who killed over 200 people?
Yeah, no, it's kind of difficult to get anything from him. It's a fascinating story. There's an entire thing about, people who are in the medical field and who kill. Angels of death. It's a power trip. And I saw that when I was working in the hospital. Sometimes I would talk to nurses, and some of them, they put too much morphine, or, they like to play with medication. It's a kink that they have. So I don't know. It's this feeling of having like a Roman emperor and deciding if somebody will live or die. So yeah, it's a pure power trip, and there's a lot. I heard that it's 17% of serial killers were or have worked in a hospital or as a nurse. 17%. That's a lot.
What about Jack the Ripper?
Interesting. That's also there's. Yesterday I was in East Ham Cemetery, the Jewish cemetery. I went to the grave of Aaron Kosminski.
You didn't fucking bury anyone. You didn't cut anybody out, did you? Do you get thoughts though? Because you've done it before, is it a certain smell or certain triggers where you're in a grave again, you think I could dig them up?
No, I was asked to get the skull of a serial killer once by a well-known collector. And the idea was me to get the skull, and it was like some kind of repetition for another grave robbery, and it would have been the skull of Ed Gein. So there was a lot of money involved. It was tempting, but I said I wasn't interested. I was trying to have a low profile back then, so.
And who was the men? Remember, who was the men, Steph, that used to get in the graveyards and steal the gold and rings from the dead? Burke and Hare.
Burke and Hare, they killed people too, actually.
Were they Satanists, do you think? Because they said it was for the money, but was it though?
I don't know. They worked with a surgeon, I think, to provide him bodies. So it was for money. I mean, back then, most murders, it was about, getting financial gain from them.
Did you ever hear about Bible John?
Okay.
He used to go to the nightclubs
Yes.
and kill the young girls. Some say he was a police officer, but it was a very interesting one. It's still one.
It's unsolved.
Yeah, unsolved, yeah. You wrote a book on Russian serial killers.
Yes, I did.
Like, why Russia? Because Colombia and stuff like South America have got real heavy serial killers. There's a man called, I wrote it down, Louis Garavito.
Yeah, I happened to talk to the guy who assessed him in prison. He did the psychological assessment of this guy in Colombia. He's a German. He's actually the guy who identified the skull of Hitler. He was part of the team back in Russia. They identified the jaw of Hitler. But he's a forensic expert, and he went to Colombia to interview Garavito. So, interesting case. Russians, there's more than 150 serial killers in Russia that were, counted. The thing is, we only know in the West about 5 or 6, Chikatilo and a few others, but there's so many other serial killers that we don't know much about, because back then the Soviet press would not report the cases because of the regime. There's a huge true crime community in Russia. Few people know that. There's a lot of forums. There's a lot of YouTube channels on true crime and serial killers. They are fascinated with serial killers, the Russians. So I had a few friends in Russia who contacted me, and together we wrote several books. So far I've wrote 3 books on Russian serial killers, and another one on Sergei Golovkin, who was one of the worst, worse than John Wayne Gacy or worse than any other in the US.
Why?
He killed young boys like Gacy, except that he tortured them for hours, even days. He had this cellar. He would use a blowtorch on them, skin them alive, make them kill each other. Horrific crime, extremely horrific crime. He would keep the skull of his victims and show them to the new victims to scare them, and very, very, very grim. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anyone who you would be wary of or scared of? Do you have fear?
No.
You don't have fear?
No. Like many people, I fear disease. That's all I fear. And
did you not do a spell with someone? You put a card in their gut for someone else to get ill?
Yeah, I did that. Yeah, it has happened.
What spell was that?
Oh, it's a Calabrian spell. Calabria, like the mafia, it's a part of Italy where they use death magic, death spells. So I learned that from a witch, a Calabrian witch. So yeah, I did a spell. I did many spells actually in my life. The blood of murderers is considered as the most potential ingredient in death magic. It has powerful properties. So when you use your blood, I use my blood. I do Ouija boards. I use my blood on Ouija boards. And when I do paintings, I splatter them with my blood. It's a magic ritual in itself, using my blood and putting my energy in those objects. But yes, I've used my blood to cast spells too.
How true it is, like black magic, white magic, Ouija board? How legit is it?
Depends on who does it.
Does it work?
Yeah. If magic, at the core of magic, it's intent. If you're not focused enough, and if you don't believe enough, it's faith. It's faith in doing something. It's like prayers when they tell you, yeah, I'm gonna pray for you, etc. It depends if they really mean it or not. Good energy, bad energy, just a matter of faith. If you do believe in what you're doing, and if you follow a certain path and certain rituals, etc., then you get results. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Do you have nightmares?
No.
Or do you thrive in your nightmares? Like, makes you happy?
No, I don't really dream. I don't really remember my dreams. When I was a kid, I was dreaming that I was flying over a graveyard. And then I landed in front of a grave. And I opened the door of the grave, and then there was like something evil that was unleashed to the world, and I woke up. And this is a dream that I met plenty of times, always the same dream.
What do you think happens after death?
I think we're a book. I write books, so this is how I, picture things. There's a beginning, there's several chapters, and there's an end. After the end, it's just the name of the author that's left on the book. Nothing else. I think your energy is still there, and as long as people read the book, they remember you. So I don't believe in anything. I've worked in morgues for so many years. I have never seen anything that makes me believe in the afterlife. And I don't know many workers who do believe in the afterlife. For me, it's energy. Your energy is still there. I do believe in the paranormal. I do believe that some things, objects, or places are haunted by the energy of the people who were there. Or, for example, I have an execution knife that was used in Congo for women who were found guilty of of cheating on their husbands. So it's a curved knife. It's used for slashing the throats, and it's rusted with blood. There's an energy to it. It's the energy of all those women who were slain that way. It's really bad mojo, if you will. Yeah.
You were friends with Richard Ramirez,
Yeah.
the Night Stalker. How did that relationship start?
I sent him a letter, he answered, and then we corresponded for a while. We had many friends in common, many pen pals in common. So he would talk sometimes about his prison life. Sometimes he would send drawings that he made. And yeah, that's it. He didn't write very long letters, very short letters. And sometimes it was on and off. I wouldn't hear from him for months, and then I got a letter from him.
What do you actually think of Charles Manson? Did he ever actually kill anyone, or did he get those women to do it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. I think it's a guy who was overwhelmed by the thing that he launched. I mean, yeah, they were all talking about the revolution and doing this and that, etc. I think that maybe he didn't think that they would take it so seriously. I don't think that he told them, yeah, go there and kill that, woman and Sharon, what's the name? Sharon Tate. Maybe he did, but he was probably completely drugged when he did it. I don't think there was a real, organized thing going on. Like the prosecutions said in, there's this prosecutor, Bugliosi, who wrote Helter Skelter. It's a pile of crap, this book. It's conspiracy theories and all this and all that, and really bad book. But it made him a millionaire, so,
What about Henry Lee Lucas?
Interesting case. I don't think that he was linked to any satanic cult. He was talking about this thing called the Hand of Death without his tool. Some people will tell you that yes, the Hand of Death was a thing, that they were behind like snuff films, etc., and trafficking people from Mexico. There's literature on that, but I just, again, two guys who killed a bunch of people and were kind of overwhelmed by all the attention that they got. And, cops would come from all over the country and ask them to, did you kill that woman? And she was found like this and that. And they would give them all the information and they would say, yeah. But, between the two, between Otis Toole and Lucas, I think Toole was the nastiest.
And what about Fish? Something Fish?
Albert
In your
Fish.
book, who's he?
Cannibal from upstate New York. He kidnapped children, ate them. So a very nasty guy. He was into SLM. It happened in the 1930s. So he was obsessed with Christ and suffering, and he viewed himself as some kind of embodiment of Jesus Christ, and he even asked his own kids to whip him with a cat o' nine tails. And he killed this little girl, Grace Budd, and he wrote obscene letters to her family. So really awful case.
How bad is like the satanic rituals and like human trafficking for kids to be used as rituals? Do you think it's as bad as what people think?
I think it's secret societies under the guise of Satanism. So it's not Satanism as I define it or others define it. It's secret societies, really organized secret societies with links to the government. I cannot tell the names of those secret societies, but they're known by everybody. And at the last grades, because they work in grades, for example, the 33rd grades, sometimes they have very dark intentions, and they, use tradition to as a way to express their darkest, aspects, their fetishes. If they're into child porn, they use those rituals just as a means to achieve their goal. So, for example, I don't know, orgies and stuff like that. They will say yes, it's to harvest this or that, etc. But it's just perversion.
What about Bohemian Grove?
Yeah, I don't know much about Bohemian Grove. It's the US. They have their own stuff. But I've seen a few videos like.
But America seems to be a hotspot for this sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, again, it's really rich people who sometimes, they want to spice things up. So, they get into this kind of lifestyle and do those things. But I don't think there's any real spirituality behind it.
What makes you happy now?
The fact that I progressed from being totally chaotic and totally unpredictable to something positive. Maybe people don't see it that way, but I am in a position now where I can talk to people who feel a certain way, who feel those, murder demons screaming in their heads. And I talk to them because they approach me. They ask me, how do I deal with this? I've been wanting to kill people since I was a teenager. And how do you do it? How do you deal with that? And they come and talk to me when I do the serial killer exhibition, for example, or conference, and they ask me all those questions, and I tell them, okay, see it as, okay, it's a war. It's you against the world. But if you turn your fantasies into reality, they will win this war because you will be sent to jail for the rest of your natural life. And at the end, they will win. So just find a creative way through art, of writing, something creative that, gives you power over those demons.
Do you actually feel lucky that you never killed everyone in the morgue?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because I wouldn't be here talking to you, definitely. Plus, it gives meaning to this. We're in the age of, true crime as entertainment, as I said. And it's good that I'm here to remind people that, those monsters that you see on TV, they're real. Sometimes there's nothing to do with them because there's no hope, there's nothing. They just, it's only prison or, death for them. But sometimes for somebody like me who was caught at a very early stage, there is still this possibility of doing something useful. This is what I do through my writings. I'm trying to find a way not to fit in, because I will never fit in, and I don't want to fit in anyways. I will always feel like an outcast. But it's just a way to help other people like me. And I think I achieved that goal so far.
Did you ever take medication?
No, I don't believe in medication. They tried to give me medication, but I don't like being drugged. I don't drink. I don't take drugs. It's not that I judge people who do, But
Yeah, you can't, brother. Fuck's sake, you drink blood and eat bodies,
So, no, that is not for me.
How would you be on alcohol, though? Could you be a loose cannon?
Yeah. I had times in my life where I was drinking a bit.
Like smoking weed or taking acid? Like your mindset must have been nuts.
No, just cocaine, not weed. I don't like weed. Never liked weed. Mm-hmm. Cocaine, yeah. I liked cocaine. But alcohol and cocaine, good combo. But I don't think that I'm really different. The only thing that I'm really scared of, for me, for the results, are hallucinogenics, mushrooms, and, I don't see myself on that.
So do you feel now that you're actually preventing serial killers if they can hear your story first?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I actually had the occasion to prevent things. And people have told me after. They have told me years after. Oh, yeah, you remember that time you were on, what was it, MySpace? Yeah, you were on MySpace and we talked. I was 21 or 23 back then, and you talked to me and it made me think, and now I'm happily married, blah, blah, blah. I get mails like that. I do get mails like that, but I also get the opposite.
So what happened when you went to the grave in London?
I just wanted to get the energy, the feels. This is something, I still feel energies. And because it's still if this really is Jack the Ripper, I wanted to feel the energy, like it's like a battery. I charge my battery with that. Yeah.
What about people who interview you? A lot of must be scared of. I've interviewed that many people, man, like just fucking water off a duck's back. But
you've done snipers, so
yeah, do you know what I'm saying? I've interviewed hitmen and I've interviewed witches and stuff like that. I'm fascinated fascinated with it all. But how is it when other people interview you? Do you feel their sort of fear?
I remember one of my first interviews for TV in Holland. This girl, she wanted to do a setup with wine, red wine, me, drinking red wine from a cup like a vampire. And the more we talked, the more she was leaning back physically. And you can see that on the clip. She's actually, body language is like this. So that, for me, it's funny. It's funny when I see that after, when I see the interviews, etc. Yeah, I can understand that. I get that sometimes. Instantly, I see in people's eyes if they know who I am or not.
You're going to get that though. Like I say, it's not something that you talk about freely. People don't know who cannibals are.
Yeah.
So it's going, wow, it's the shock factor.
Yeah.
So you're going to get people thinking, like, why is this man even on a platform? But if you're preventing serial killers and other murders, then it's actually a good thing, a negative to a positive. What about vampires and witches? You don't really hear about that stuff anymore, but what do you think about them in the past? Do you believe that they were real?
No, it's just legends. Back then, in the medieval times where people were committing horrific crimes, they were called werewolves. People killing other people and eating them, they were called werewolves. Vampires are the same, it's legends. People actually were killing and drinking people's blood, and it became a legend. And I definitely don't believe in vampires in the sense of Twilight and shit, glowing in the dark, in the sunlight and whatever. There's this fascination that, some people have for this character, the character of the vampire, because it's the eternal life, it's sexy, it's glamour, whatever. I don't know. There's something very archaic about drinking blood, the taste of it. And I don't associate it with sophistication, like Count Dracula or whatever. For me, it's more like basics, more like a caveman type of situation, drinking blood and eating human flesh. So, yeah, no, I've never, the name Vampire of Paris that they gave me, I've always thought it was a bit stupid, to be honest. Yeah.
Does that not enhance your profile though, where you're getting more fan mail because of that sort of mystery?
Yeah, maybe people get an image of me that is based on this fantasy thing, the vampire thing, and now I look more like Nosferatu than Dracula. I mean, shaved head and all. So it's kind of difficult for me because I really don't relate to the myth. For me, it was a fetish. It has always been a fetish, an addiction. Not a role play.
Where do you go forward for the future with it all?
So the next years will be spent touring with the serial killer exhibition around the world. It was in London last year.
And what is that for people who don't know?
So it's a collection, mainly based on my collection and a few others, but there's a lot of objects from my collection. From serial killers, so it's letters, but also objects, weapons that were used for committing crimes, and it's all the aspects of serial murder. So there's the different categories. There's rooms dedicated to the main ones like Dahmer, Gacy, etc. So it's curated by criminologists. This is important to say because people think, since I'm associated with it, they don't think it's really serious, but it is serious. So we work with the people who are quite known in the field. For example, in Berlin, we are working with Dr. Mark Benecke, who is a really famous criminologist. And We are touring the US next year, but there will be normally a smaller serial killer exhibition still in around Europe for a few more years.
And can you get into the US?
We'll see.
What's that shirt you're wearing? Is that Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yeah, it's my it's my website where I sell my T-shirts, etc. And I use this face as the mascot, the logo, if you will. Yeah.
How do you sleep now? Do you sleep okay?
I do sleep okay. I do not dream. I do not just sleep like a log.
What about relationships?
They're
Because
good.
you says you were kind of not a loner, but you never really had anyone around you. Has that changed since you've made changes?
Yeah, I'm married.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But that's all I can say. I never talk about my private life because there's consequences.
How are you feeling today?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm confident. And I'm really happy that I'm talking to you. Yeah.
Did you ever think you would be doing interviews and documentaries and writing books with the life that you used to lead of want to kill people?
Not when I was 17 or 19, because, I was focused on what I was doing. So it was not like I was knowing that I was creating content for 30 years after, That's not how I viewed things. No, it's weird. Honestly, I was in Brompton Cemetery this morning. And it's funny because the last time I was there was 35 years ago. I was 17, and it was my first trip outside of France alone. And I went to that graveyard 35 years ago when I was 17. And so I went back there and see if that changed or not. And it was the same, of course, because it's an old graveyard. But yes, it made me think about all the things that happen in between.
For anybody watching that's maybe having those thoughts that you went through, want to kill people, want to eat people, drink blood, like what would you say to them?
Talk to me.
Yeah. Where can people reach out to you? Where can people ask questions? Because like I say, this will be mad. The comments will be mad. People respect what you're saying. People will be totally against it. This man's killed people. He's ate people. But like I say, respect for owning it. Respect for actually being truthful and going, this was me. But I've made changes now. You're trying to help people. But for anybody that's want to maybe get in contact, how do they contact you?
I have an Instagram, Nico Claux official. Yeah, no, at Nico Claux _official. That's my Instagram. Other than that, I have this website where there's a contact form, serialpleasures.com. This is the easiest way to get to me because honestly, Instagram, I'm overwhelmed with messages. So the contact form on this platform is the easiest. Yeah.
Nick, would you like to finish up on anything else?
Well, I thank you for inviting me first. And as I said, it's when you're using the word monster, you're creating a monster.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I feel, like Joseph Merrick, the Elephant Man, I'll never be normal. I'll never be, people look at me, they talk behind my back, they see me as this weird being that is inhuman. But I'm really trying to be human in a way.
What has been human to you?
Listening, for example. When people talk to me, I listen.
Just before we finish up, we actually spoke about serial killers and they're all male, but they actually released a movie, Cult Monster.
Yeah.
Charlene Theron played a part, unbelievable part she played. Like, what do you think of that woman? Because she, I think, was abused and bullied and then just started killing all the males.
She had her reasons. She was treated like shit. She had rage inside of her. Yes, some of the victims did not deserve what happened. That's for sure. the rage was there. It was, at the end she got executed. So did she deserve it? Some people will say yes. Some people will say no. She was a very twisted and complex individual. I think that prison drove her insane. If you see the latest interviews that she did, she sounds totally insane. Maybe she was. Don't know. Maybe the fact of knowing that you're about to die drives you insane. No way.
Yeah, we're all going to die.
Yeah.
Nick, again, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you, James.
It's been a mad story, a roller coaster, but again, respect for your honesty, respect for trying to make changes. Again, Nick, where can people buy your books just before we finish up?
Serialpleasures.com or sometimes Amazon when I'm not cancelled by them. But yeah, serialpleasures.com.
All the best for the future, and I look forward to getting you back on again.
Thank you, James.
Brother.